Hey everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be reviewing this Saturday's MMA card. Um, this is actually the second time I'm recording it. The first time I did it, we had no audio, so hopefully I learned a little something from it, and hopefully I didn't give out something in the inaudible version that I forget to give out in this version. In any case, we're going to be going back and forth between the best fight odds page and the DraftKings lineup builder. And as I did mention in the first iteration of this recording, I do think that it's a very straightforward type of card. There's one big favorite who I think you have to play, and I think there's one fight that you really have to key. And then I do think that there are some very, very good long shots, not long shots, very, very good underdogs. And there are also some very fadeable fighters as well. So I do think from a, relative to other MMA cards, I do think it's very approachable. In addition to this, which I guess is free, if you want to get actual projections, which with both ownership and projection of points and things like that, and how to use that kind of stuff, you can go to truedfs.com, become a premium member, and check that out. But let's go through this, and what I want to start with the main event. Because I do think that that Makhachev is kind of a lock. He's just completely unfadable, and I'm going to be probably using him in all my lineups. He's got everything that you want. He's 7-1 favorite. He has that 5-round floor, and also even if he doesn't get an early finish, which I don't even think he will, he could basically take down Moises whenever he feels like it, and he might just basically do that for like 5 full rounds. This could be one of those fights where the winner gets 100, where Makhachev gets 150 DraftKings points without even ever finishing him. So I think that, in the context of this slate as well, there aren't that many other guys that have that kind of upside, even close on this card. So that's going to be the first thing is I'm going to make sure that he's in there. I'm not going to get cute. I'm not going to, I'm just not going to. I'm not going to play Moises. I'm not going to fade this fight. I'm just going to play Makhachev, turn this into a 5-fighter card, and be done with it. Now, yeah, you get a lot of leverage if you play Moises. You got a lot of leverage if you fade Makhachev, and yes, you can make the argument that in a slate with 100,000 entrants or whatever, you need to get different. But I've just made peace with the fact that on this particular card, there's just way too much to fade for him to not be played. So that's that. Next thing I want to focus in on is this first fight. And again, we're always going back to the, to inside the distance props. And if you don't have a good inside the distance prop, then you better be a really, really good grappler to pick up points that way. So this very first fight is a very, very important fight to get a hold of. Nascimento against Badeau. And you'll see from the inside the distance lines, it's a 150 favorite to go, basically 130 favorite to go under 1.5 rounds, which is really, really strong. 3-1 to go under 2.5 rounds. So you're going to want to get this. The thing is that I don't think Nascimento is completely a lock here, even though he's 3.5 to 1. Badeau's got some tricks. He's got a good gym. He's apparently training with Cyril Gann, who was just on, I think did he fight for the championship? He may have in the last couple of cards. So, I do think Badeau has some upside, and I think he's got a shot. So I am going to play a little bit of him. I don't think he's an underdog I'm going to keep, but I'm definitely going to get probably 100% of this fight. But I'm not going to just go 100% Nascimento. I think I am going to play some of the Badeau. The next thing is this Figueiredo-Gordon fight. So Figueiredo-Gordon, again, it's got a very fair inside the distance prop. It's 150 or 140-ish favorite to go under 1.5 rounds. Actually, to go over 1.5, but it's close. And it is favored to go under 2.5 rounds. And from what my research is showing, Figueiredo is not really that much of a lock. So again, I will probably get a little bit of both of these guys. I'll get a little of Figueiredo. I'll get a little of Gordon. I'm not going to get 100% of this fight, but I am certainly going to, I'm not going to say that I'm getting all of Figueiredo. I am going to get some of Figueiredo, some of Gordon. I think Gordon is definitely a little, sort of live here. I went back and forth on whether to use Miles Johns or not. He's probably going to win, but I just don't see the DraftKings upside in playing him. He's not really a heavy duty grappler. I mean, he's a tough dude. You know, he might push him up against the cage a little bit, but he's not that guy that's going to get 100 takedowns. And his finish rate is not that great. The finish prop is not that great. So I'm probably going to end up fading him. I was going to play him, and then I think I've changed my mind. And I don't think Dos Santos is a particularly live underdog, so he's going to be out. One guy who I am going to play a little bit of, or maybe a decent amount of, is Sergey Morozov. Again, based on my deep dive and based on my research of other experts and things like that, he apparently is very, very live here. He had an impossible fight in his last one, and he definitely showed some decent signs as well. But he is probably a decent underdog here, and his price is under 8K. I think it's 7,900. So Morozov is one guy who I'm definitely going to consider using. And remember, with respect to MMA, DFS, you are going to need to play underdogs. So at least probably two guys under 8K. And Morozov just seems to fit the bill. I mean, he's going to be pretty decent. I'm going to get to a couple of others in a minute. But I already highlighted Gordon. Gordon's got a shot. Badeau's got a shot. But Morozov, I kind of like, and I don't even like his opponent at all. So I'm probably going to play Morozov, and I'm not going to get to any Taha, I believe. So again, as opposed to those other fights where I might get some of both, I think that Morozov is kind of a good standalone underdog. Lemos Ruiz, I think that this fight I'm going to be passing on, even though Lemos is a big time 5-1 favorite. Nothing about the internal numbers makes me think that she has that kind of DraftKings upside in her price. Again, the inside the distance prop is just fair. I mean, it's basically a favorite to go over 2.5 rounds, and it's almost a pick 'em to go to decision. And if you have Lemos at 9,300, basically almost favored to go to decision, that's just not going to be good enough. So I'm going to probably be fading that fight. Probably the easiest fight for me to play is going to be this Daniel Rodriguez Parsons fight. Parsons is taking this on short notice. Daniel Rodriguez is a solid 3-1 favorite after a good camp. I mean, he's ready to go. And look at these inside the distance numbers. I mean, it's almost a pick 'em to go under 1.5 rounds. 3-1 not to go to be finished. And he's got something to prove. You could argue that he should have been undefeated. Two fights were kind of fishy. So I think Daniel Rodriguez, I think that he really should be more like 9,200, but he is being priced at like 88 or something like that. So he is the closest thing I could come up with, was kind of like a lock underneath the Makhachev. Like, I'm not going to play any of Parsons, and I think that D-Rod is probably going to be my second highest owned guy. It just makes just way too much sense. He's got everything that you want. He doesn't really have that grappling upside, but the numbers I don't want to say don't lie, but the numbers are telling the story that this is going to finish inside of 2 rounds. And if that's the case, it's going to want that at 8,800. So that's that. The next live dog that I like here is Billy Quarantillo. And one of the things to think about is that when you're playing a couple of underdogs, the possibility that you might need him even if they lose. Last week in the optimal, I believe that the winning lineup had a losing underdog. And sometimes that happens. I mean, sometimes that, all the favorites win. And when that does happen, one of the underdogs is going to be in the optimal. It's the way it goes. And what Billy Quarantillo gives you, aside from winning upside, which he has, he puts out a lot of volume for openers. He also does have some takedowns. So even if he loses, he might be live to be good, score well enough to get in the optimal. Not to mention the fact that stylistically, I think he matches up really, really well with Benitez, because Benitez is really, really well known for his leg kicks. And leg kicks are good when you can keep the guy at range. But Billy Quarantillo loves to really come at the guy, and he puts his face out there to get hit. But if you can get through all that, it makes it very difficult for someone who specializes in leg kicks to really excel. So I think that Quarantillo is another really, really live long shot here. Really live dog, and I'm definitely going to be playing some of him. I don't think I'm going to play much Benitez, if at all. He's only 8,500, so it's possible that he might be good enough. With all of the, if Quarantillo puts out a lot of volume, that means that it's going to be high paced. So maybe just by force, Benitez is going to get a lot of significant strikes, and he might catch him and might finish him. So I think Benitez is fine, but I think I'm definitely going to have more Quarantillo than Benitez in this fight. All right, moving on. Okay, Vieira Stolfus. This, to me, I'm not going to be playing Stolfus. I'll be playing some Vieira. I mean, just look at the inside the distance prop. It makes a lot of sense. It's almost to pick him to go under 1.5 rounds. And he burned a lot of people last week, last time he fought. So maybe that'll keep some ownership on him down. He lost to Fluffy Anderson, which nobody expected. And maybe that keeps some ownership off him a little bit. But these numbers are very, very strong. He rates to finish early, and it's a very fair price here. He's only, what was Vieira here? 8,700. It's not, so you usually pay 9,100 for guys like D. Rodriguez or Vieira. I mean, you're getting some very fair prices on guys with good inside the distance props and good upside. Even Nascimento is only 9K. Usually guys like these, you see 9,100, 9,200. I think all these guys are very fair. And I'm not going to play any Stolfitz on the other side. The second to last fight, I know it's a short card, but I think there are some others. That was something else. Yeah, so this Gamrot against Stevens. I do actually have an opinion on this one. I think Gamrod's a very, very strong play to win. The thing is that his inside the distance prop is just much poorer than some of the others we've discussed already. Like here, you have basically a pick'em to go under 2.5 rounds, and to go over 1.5 rounds, 2-1 favorite. So I don't think Gamrot has the same finishing ability as some of these other guys, but he's probably going to be lower owned as a result. And if he does catch Stevens, I mean, he could knock him out. And if that's the case, I think he's almost certainly going to be lower owned than some of these other guys that we mentioned. So I am going to include Gamrot in my player pool. Stevens, not so much though. So Tate, Renault. I went back and forth on this, and the first thing that I said was these are two very old fighters. They're not going to put out a lot of volume. There's probably not going to be a finish. But then I just keep coming back to this price. They're both 8,100, and one's 8K and one's 8,200. And I've just seen fights like this make the optimal so often or so frequently that I just don't want to fade it completely. And then I noticed something that that's probably going to lead me to playing a side in this fight, and that is the fact that Miesha Tate, her win odds as applied by Vegas are probably about $1.30. And if you look at the price on DraftKings, they have them as almost a pick'em. So you're actually getting some win equity in Miesha Tate. Again, it's not a particularly, sexy pick. I don't think she's going to come off of, I think she's off of a big layoff to win here and finish her. But it's just hard to deny that equity, and even if she just gets the W, maybe getting 75 fantasy points, 80 fantasy points, and that could be enough. So I am going to probably play Miesha Tate, which seems kind of gross, but I think I'm going to do that. Do I want to play Renault also? I have to say it does depend how many lineups I play. I very well might get some of that. And I think we're at the end. So let me just kind of review. I think for me, I think it is a straight up straightforward type of deal. I'm probably going to lock in Makachev. Just too much going for him. And then my next strongest pick is probably going to be D-Rod. And then I think I did identify just the whole, some decent underdogs to play. You can play Quarantillo, you can play Morozov. I wouldn't expect those guys to score huge, but all you need is a win from those guys. And then I'm probably going to get some of that. I'm probably going to have 100%, some degree of that first fight, Nascimento Badeau, just because of that inside the distance prop. And then, I identified a couple of others. You could play some Gordon, you could play some, I said Morozov already. And, fade the Lemos fight. I mean, there's, fade Taha. I mean, there's some pretty easy fades for me, at least. And that's pretty much it. Probably play 20 lineups, doing the, probably using my projections a little bit, but probably hand building just based on the things that I have mentioned. That's about it. Good luck, everybody. Hope the audio works in this one. Or I don't know if I'm going to do a third one. Good luck, everybody.